you ever watched the news and suddenly felt angry, scared, or hopeless without even realizing why? That's not a coincidence. That is psychology in action. Today, I will show you how media uses psychological techniques to shape what you think. And these techniques will show you how you can resist that manipulation. Welcome back to Psychology in Business. My name is Victoria. I empower business leaders to transform mindsets and behaviors to achieve their goals. Using the knowledge from my master's degree in psychology, I will now explain you step by step which techniques are used in crafting news and how exactly and why exactly it is called propaganda, how to notice and resist to those techniques. So let's start from what is propaganda, why it's not always a lie, but is a crafting of reality in a way the person wants to present it. Propaganda: information, ideas, opinions, or images often only given one part of an argument that are broadcast, published, or in some other way spread with the intention of influencing people's opinions. The goal of propaganda is to guide your thinking in a way that you don't notice this guiding. This information is designed to influence your emotions, beliefs, or actions. So propaganda in general is not only about lying, or mostly not about lying, but about framing the truth in a way the person wants you to receive it. So propaganda is almost unavoidable, but still we can recognize some techniques and resist them. So let's dive into those psychological techniques used in propaganda. Technique number one is emotional loaded language. These are words which are crafted to bypass the logical thinking. For example, such adjectives like shocking, devastating, unbelievable. So those adjectives are appealing directly to your emotions and not to your rational part. There are also nouns which are very loaded, and they are specifically used to trigger this or that emotion or understanding of the world. So those words are evil, tyrant, dictator. So those words by themselves are triggering some specific emotions, bypassing the logical part and already crafting the situation and your perception in your mind in a specific way. So you, by listening for one sentence, already know who is good and who is bad. And you know it not by making your own decision, but by consuming the decision of that person who crafted that news. Second technique is music and sound effects. It's quite obvious, but we don't notice it because it appeals to our limbic system and not to our neurocortex. That music on the background, if it is dramatic, it will triggers the feeling of unavoidable huge catastrophe, of emotional tension, sadness, unfair situation, and that emotional support which you want to give to those people. The opposite music, which could lead you to increase your mood and somehow motivate you, the music which you can use maybe in your gym or something, it can craft the feeling that even though the situation now on the front line or somewhere on the battle or in that conflict is not that good, we will win anyway. I love music myself. I play the piano, I'm singing and dancing and so on. And I'm very sensitive to music and to the choice of music in the movie or in the specific video. When I hear this music, I immediately switch off that video because I know that I'm going to be manipulated. And because I know that I don't want to be manipulated, and now they will trigger some emotions, for example, pity to those people and so on, I just switch it off. And by the way, share with me in comments the results of your experience by noticing the melody on the background of the video you're watching. How exactly it is crafted for you to feel. Did you notice it? Next techniques is selective images. By images, we mean pictures and also pieces of videos. Showing crying people, explosion, people in fear, running, emotional faces expressing devastation and horrible anger or fear would trigger your empathy and fear and so on. instead of just in general presenting the fact of what happened. The next technique is repetition. Hearing again message from different sources again and again builds familiarity, and your brain starts believing it's true. The same narrative, the same idea, or the same slogan, motto you receive from different sources, maybe even from leaders of opinion, from trendsetters, from some celebrities, maybe. We can see them from the songs, from movies, from visual or audio, any other channels. So the next technique is authority and experts. So when a person with a high credibility, with authority, with a high and recognized title says something, we tend to believe to their opinion even without verifying it. The next technique is simplified good versus evil narrative. In all possible wars, in all possible conflicts, there are us and them. Us, we are good, them are bad, of course. Very simple, very clear. This generalization creates emotional unity and belonging, and you are one of us, we are together, we will support each other, and so on. They are bad, they are evil, they should disappear, stop existing. Very simple, very clear to everyone, even to a child. People with any level of IQ will understand what you want. And there are many more other techniques, but I will tell you only the last one for today. It's a specific story from this generalized us and them. There is a specific story which is crafted specifically for you to associate with the main character and feel their feelings and understand that you have to act in a specific way. In general, all the fairy tales are built like that there was a boy like you, and that boy was brave and so on. Or there was a girl like Cinderella or someone else, yeah, and that girl was blah blah. In propaganda, it's used in the same way. So there was a girl, and that girl was, I don't know, either offended by a soldier or someone, or that girl became a hero and so on. So you would use that simple, clear role model to associate yourself with and to trigger either you have to fight together, then you would become that girl or that boy, and they are very good and strong to support your country or anything they want you to support, or the other way around, yeah, that that person is so poor that if you were on their place, you would also suffer, and that's why we have to fight together against that evil, against them. Very generalized them, but very specific he or she. So now when you know the main techniques, not all of them, but the main ones of media, how they manipulate your opinion and mindset and decision making, let's think how to protect ourselves from those techniques and how to minimize the propaganda way and influence of those who crafted those narratives and messages for us. This is the most difficult because we live in the era of videos, but the best way to increase the critical thinking and neurocortex instead of emotions and limbic system is to read news instead of watching them. Reading gives you more time to stop when you want to stop and to think about it and come back to the next sentence and again think and analyze. It goes to neurocortex and to the front part of the brain, which is responsible for logical thinking. Videos, how we discussed earlier today, are created in a way to trigger some emotions. Those pieces of videos will be loaded with a lot of faces and fears and devastation and so on and so on. You will be overloaded in a way to receive the final emotion of something they wanted you to feel. So for example, you would be very proud to be part of us. We discussed us. Yeah, or you would be super upset and you would be in fear or anger and you would fight them. So reading the news instead of watching them is the best way to decrease manipulation, which could be possibly there. If you cannot do it and you're watching something because this is a video, the point number 2 is switch off the audio. It will be the new experience, but you will actually like it because you are not overloaded with all possible channels. So one channel, your hearing, ears, are not overloaded and you can think more rationally. If this news is big enough, it will be described from different channels, from different sources. And you will immediately see the emotional framing behind those sources. People who control that media will create the narrative and will lead you emotionally to the way they want you to be led. So you will immediately see the difference, and by comparison, you can understand what exactly they are trying to say in different ways, and you will craft your own version of reality. So in general, reality is not objective. Yeah, we live in a very subjective realities of each of us, predefined by our experience, by our childhood, by our culture, by our religion. Even if you think that you are agnostic and don't believe into anything, everything around us influences us. So reality is not objective ever, but still you will create your own subjective version of an objective, so to say, objective news. Number 4, which could be maybe number 1. Pay attention to your own feelings. If you suddenly feel angry or anxious or fear or deeply sad, pause and ask, why do I feel like that? Who benefits from me feeling this way? It should not be on paranoia level that some people are chasing you or want to manipulate and so on. Of course, we don't want to get crazy. But still, if you feel emotions which you actually don't want to feel, don't want to experience, then it's time to pause. In general, the idea of informational detox is a very good idea. So we have to minimize the information which we receive from news per day, otherwise we will be overwhelmed. But when you, especially even after 5 minutes of reading news, you feel especially triggered by something, it's time to be kind to yourself. Yeah, pause and rethink what you're reading. And maybe nobody wants to manipulate you, but it's just too much specifically for you because of your current state, whatever happened in life. Yeah, you have to be careful and loving to ourselves first. So the approach number 5 is to limit exposure, so to say. So limit amount of information you consume per day. In general, including the work business information, but in particular about news. Because most news are created to be shocking or to trigger, so to say, negative feelings, because then people would reshare that news more and more because it's scary or whatever. This is how algorithm of social media works. You have to trigger negative emotions to attract more attention. And then when you consume a lot of this information, you are overwhelmed, you feel anxiety, you feel devastation, that everything is wrong with this world in general and me in particular and them and us. So create a limit for yourself. For example, 15 minutes a day. Think about 15 minutes a day. Yeah. Half an hour maximum per day when you read updates. For example, 5 minutes only in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch break, 5 minutes in the evening. Or okay, 5 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. That's it. So not more. It's a very strict diet, yeah, informational diet, which is crafted in a way to protect your brain and your mental health. So next time when you read or watch the news, you know you're not a passive consumer. You're a proactive subject of action. You are the one who decides what enters your mind. Stay curious, stay critical, and stay emotionally intelligent. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who also wants to steer their mind out of manipulation. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode of Psychology and Business.